Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we have the GCW The World pay-per-view. We have your Royal Rumble predictions. Brian Danielson and John Moxley get into it kind of on Rampage. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast. You know, I should have thrown the Guevara Cody Rhodes thing into the intro. Should I do it again? No. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Jobbing an elevator, jobbing it up when I'm going down. And sitting right across from me is Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Shit. Damn you, Vice. I love you. But on that note, let's bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 241, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the holy trinity of BFR as the world of WWE's eyes shine upon our beautiful hometown. I can't wait to see what kind of train wreck we're going to get on Saturday night.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beers, Zach Pullman. What's going on, Two Beers, Zach?
Very hungover from my evening at the Blazers game. So, yeah.
That's not the Zach I know.
He was overserved, damn it. This dude called me on the way home last night. I'm looking at my phone. It's like 10:30-ish, 11-ish, or whatever. Nobody's usually calling me this late. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm watching Dynamite. And I look over and I'm like, Two Beer? What the fuck?
Zach called you last night?
Yeah, we talked for about 30 minutes, give or take.
Did you guys talk about me? Was there anything
Yeah,
said about me?
up.
Briefly.
Was it good or bad?
I'd rather not discuss Zach and I's conversations. Usually I like to make sure that things that are in-house stay within house.
2 weeks in a row, we're in my newly finished basement in St. Charles, Missouri. It is still freezing cold outside. I didn't think it was that cold. I said we could have done that.
We could have rolled the dice. If we'd have gotten it done in an hour and a half, we could have rolled the dice.
I like how 2 weeks ago you were like, we learned our lesson learned, never doing that again. Now you're like,
It's 43. It's 43.
Is it really 43?
At least
I haven't been outside since this morning.
I was going to say on my, thermometer on my car, it said 43 degrees.
Listen, we're gonna talk about some indie stuff this week before we get to the E, as the kids call it, the WWE. They call it that. So if you're not into the indie stuff, don't despair. We're going to get to the WWE Royal Rumble, which is obviously one of the big four, probably one of the big two for me. But it is a huge pay-per-view. I will be going with my friend Dave, friend of the show. But if you don't want to hear us talk about GCW, fast forward if you're a loser. But if you want to talk about GCW, if you want to hear us talk about it, just hang out. Because I watched it. Yesterday and today. I watched the entire thing. I have thoughts. So without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
So obviously we're going to talk about the GCW show.
The Royal Rumble, that's right. Kick it off with the Royal Rumble.
Curveball. Hammerstein Ballroom on Sunday night after they did I guess it was called some sort of Hall of Fame. I guess we can call it a GCW Hall of Fame. Their first few entrants into the Hall of Fame. They did a big show on Sunday night. I guess you can call it 2 big matches. The one that captured my interest the most was Moxley versus Homicide for the GCW title. And then ultimately what was the main event was the Briscoes versus a unnamed team. Truth be told, I had never seen a full GCW card. I've seen matches. Matt Cardona winning the title over Nick Gage was the most recent match I saw, because for me to wrap my head around the fact that Long Island IZ all of a sudden is getting light poles or light tubes, I'm sorry for a better word, broken over his head and bleeding like nobody's business with a white shirt on. It was a sight that I had to see, you know, something that I'm not necessarily, truth be told, I wasn't a big ECW fan. I'm not a big death match kind of guy. You know, for me, a little blood goes a long way. We don't necessarily need to have a David Arquette situation if we absolutely don't have to. That being said, I knew about this coming up. A lot of people were hitting me up on Twitter. I was like, well, fuck it. If this is the time to do it, then we're going to do it. Tubi and I talked about it last night, so we didn't talk too much about it, but we did save, I think, a little bit to where we can discuss it as a group. There was some good, there was some bad. I can't sit here and say that the bad wasn't bad enough to where I won't watch it again, but the good wasn't great enough to where I think this is going to be something revolutionary. It's probably somewhere in the gray. To me, what was bad, let's get the bad stuff out of the way. The opening match, the ladder match, was a little, I'll use the word unsafe. Couple of nasty spots. AJ Gray has no business on a ladder at any point. He looked very unsure of himself up there. I think Jordan Oliver took a pile driver on a ladder. His neck didn't necessarily look that great. I think after that there was the 6-man Lucha Libre match where, and me and Zach talked about this, where there was the chicken fight spot and the top two guys.
I was hoping that you were going to talk about that.
That was brutal.
That was the most insane, maybe the most insane spot I've ever seen.
I'm like, oh my God, did somebody just die?
Outside of a Dark Side of the Ring about New Jack. You know, like, that was dumb.
No, I get what you're trying to do. I agree with you. It was totally dumb. I'm not going to sit here and defend this by any stretch of the imagination. Totally dumb. I get what you're thinking. You're back behind, backstage or whatever. You guys are talking the match out. You're like, oh, let's do this, and it sounds real good. The execution, F. That looked like somebody, literally whoever, and I can't even tell who it was. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember the spot. I just can't remember who the top two people were. The top two people just went down like a ton of bricks, and the next two dudes was like powerbomb. Let's not try to, save the spot at this point. It was like, who the fuck went down first? That was not necessarily thought out very well, and like I said, the execution, poor as fuck. The biggest problem with it, and this is just me personally as JCB, the Matt Cardona match, way overbooked. I get it. You want to have Matt Cardona be this good heel. I get it. Chelsea Green kind of smells like Triple H and Stephanie. I get it. From that point, all you really needed was probably Brian Myers to come in, because that was basically the hook of the whole thing. And maybe Mark Sterling, because he, brought this whole, it made all kinds of sense. You didn't need Hornswoggle. That was just over and beyond the Call of Duty. I'm trying to think who else came in. Virgil, give me a break. I don't get that at all. This is where, you really had to be watching GCW. And if this is me being naive about GCW, then so be it. I have no problem with that. That to me was the bad. The good to me was like towards which part was that? The first 2-3 matches, Leo Rush having to take over for Blake Christian. I thought that was really smart. It ended up being a really good match. The bits and pieces that were safe on the first match, I thought that was a good way to go there. Actually, I like Matt Cardona, coming out with the swerve. It just took a long time to get to the swerve. The ending, that's the other part. I think Matt Cardona's part went a little too long. The end went a little too short, but I do like seeing Nick Cage get a little love. John Moxley and Homicide was good, probably 10 minutes a little too short. That's something I'll let Zach talk about here in a little bit. For me, like I said, some good, some bad. It wasn't like I won't watch it the next time around, but it wasn't exactly the greatest thing in the world.
Zach, what did you think?
Yeah, the good was good. The bad was very bad. A little bit of growing pains for GCW because this is the first time they were on traditional pay-per-view. So had kind of that, it was not as good of a show as All In, but it had that thing where they ran very short at the end. Like the main event was only a few minutes. I think Nick Gage's entrance was longer than the actual match. But it's funny that they were going like that far towards the end, and he's just out there hugging the crowd like on the way, just like total baby face. Like it's so crazy to see Nick Gage, and everybody loves him, and he's just going around hugging people.
Quick sidebar for 30
minutes.
seconds. If let's just say for the sake of argument, you were short on time, and they basically told you have to go to the ring. Do you think that crowd was going to let him go to the ring? No way. No way.
Yeah.
As soon as they even heard his music, it was like, before that, they started to swarm up. They started to chant his name. And his music hit. They were like, there is no way on God's green earth you're just going to walk down the aisle and go to the ring.
All day.
Okay, so, I mean, in that point, no knock against Nick Gage. This is, from that point, go ahead.
He's hit the nail on the head as far as the Cardona match. Like, for a live crowd, I'm sure that was very fun. But it was the hottest ticket in wrestling, last week. I think, just to get in the door price, it was hundreds of dollars because they had sold out. So, but yeah, it was kind of a mess. It didn't necessarily translate to something fun on TV, although I did enjoy Cardona's Sandman entrance. The whole thing very much harkened back to, like, they were very much harkening back to ECW, and I think probably as someone who's just kind of watched matches here and there, the number one thing that stuck out to me was the announcing, where like I'm just heading out, I'm just hanging out, like oh, I'm gonna put on this GCW show, and I'm glad I didn't put it on in the living room because I put it on in my bedroom, and of course my 9-year-old daughter walks in right as the announcer is calling one of the heels a fucking piece of shit asshole. It's like very kind of like shock jockey, and it's really interesting, like dynamic whenever they just absolutely curse, and like I think after that Canadian Destroyer off the chicken, I think the announcer just went, "Oh fuck," it's just. It's so different.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that. The announce team, good, bad, or indifferent, it stood. I mean, whichever way you want to go with it. For me, I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers are like invested. I don't have kids running around. The cats are just gonna have to scatter when I, pop for something big. They at least felt invested. The same way WWE announcers feel invested, the same way AEW announcers feel invested. This was just, you could say basically really what you want to say whenever you want to say it.
So I watched the whole thing yesterday afternoon, and I finished it this morning. I knew the outcomes because it was all over wrestling Twitter. I mean, it was fucking insane how much.
Dude, I feel like I missed out. Like, I was like, between the playoff football games that I don't follow that seemed like they were absolutely amazing, and everybody on Twitter, it was like everybody I follow watched GCW live, and I'm like, dude, I feel like left out.
Yeah, I could not believe it. And this is the thing about going third, especially on the one count, is that oftentimes you guys leave things on the table, but most of the time you guys cover, because we're all pretty like-minded for the most part. You guys cover everything. Of course, the Matt Cardona match was overbooked. I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. I couldn't believe. I was like, oh, come on.
Wrap it up.
My favorite thing about that match was that jacket that says "fuck McFoley" on the back. I would wear that, man. That is fucking hilarious.
Dude, instant heat.
I loved the Leo Rush Blake Christian match. I thought was great. Leo Rush to me is such a dynamic performer on the mic and in the ring that it's a wonder that he's not used more. It was very so.
I don't know if he wants to be used more or not.
But
he's an enigma in
to
that
talk
sense.
about it. It was a sloppy. It was sloppy, and when you're used to, I'm sure there are people out there, and I know there are people out there that enjoy that indie style of wrestling. I had fun watching it, but it didn't feel like I was watching a major league pay-per-view. Now, that's not a knock on them because, like I said, you guys steal a lot of stuff out from under me before I get a chance. Like Zach said, that's growing pains. It was a Hammerstein Ballroom. It was their biggest event of all time, and that's where wrestling is at now, to where there is a spot for a GCW, and people like us can kind of dip our toes in and be like, hey, what's going on with this?
I like it or not?
Do I like it or not?
Honestly, they're like the number 3 promotion in the country.
Yeah.
Really.
And there's a bunch of people on there that we have heard of, that we have seen wrestle, that we like to see wrestle. And then there's a bunch, it seems like now this is just from watching one GCW, and there are probably hardcore GCW guys out there that would tell me that I'm being a snob or that I'm some sort of fucking nerd or some square, dating myself, calling myself a square, but like, I just don't
Just
get
make
it.
your point, motherfucker.
I just don't get it. And maybe I don't get it. Those first 2 matches almost turned me off completely. And then when Cardona came in, I was like, here we go. I was like, this guy is doing some real heel work. And they were throwing shit at him, and he was loving it and eating it up. And I was like, holy shit. Zack Ryder is owning this shit. He really was.
He's not the same kind of heel character in NWA. So I mean, I totally get what you're saying.
He was great.
Quick sidebar. I
And
just
then
saw this.
the match
X-Pac
was
is the other
bad.
guy that I forgot about.
X-Pac came in. That's right.
I forgot that he made the save on Joey Janela.
The match would have been
He actually
fine
looked really good.
Yeah, for sure. No question about it.
for a
That's what I say.
60-year-old. He's only 45.
Dude,
He's younger than
stop it.
Jason. If
Wow, you really said that in my face.
what I'm saying is that Matt Cardona Joey Janela match would have been fine without all the shenanigans. And like Zach said, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I bet for a live drunk crowd full of dudes that look like us, that I bet that was a really fun experience to have Hornswoggle and X-Pac and
No,
everybody come in.
no.
And when I say us, I'm including you, Jason.
No,
I mean,
dude.
we're all the same.
No, we're really not. Okay. When I watched it,
Well, when I say we're all the same, I say including you because you look a lot like Virgil. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That just came to me. My bad.
that's good.
He just fist bumped me. But
Crazy fucking shit.
I'll say about the announcing that, like, the idea on paper to be like, hey, there's going to be this wrestling promotion and they're going to cuss all they want. You're like, fuck yeah, that sounds like an adult wrestling promotion. Fuck yeah, here we go. Let's have it happen like that. And then in practice, it feels like Joe Pesci in Casino. It's like, you're cussing too much, dude. Like, why do you keep saying it?
It
Like,
did feel a little over the top at points.
it felt a little over the top. Blake Christian cut that promo before Leo Rush came out. He probably dropped 14 F-bombs in that promo.
Okay. In Blake Christian's defense, in kayfabe style, he came in for an ROH title match and didn't get it. So this is just to let you motherfuckers know.
Yeah, that's fine.
That
Sure.
I want my shit when it comes down to
Sure,
it. I
sure.
have no problem with that.
All right.
It's no different than what WWE does. It just says it in a different, more emphatic way.
It was just so much cursing, and I'm certainly
loved
not.
it.
I'm certainly not a prude, like, at all. Especially when it comes to cursing. Like, I don't.
Loved it.
Not here to kink shame, but I mean, I have a fetish for naked chicks. That's like my only fetish.
Everybody was fetish.
Call me vanilla. Call me vanilla. But it just seemed like it seemed like over the top for me.
It was a little over the top. Two Beer, you got anything to add to this?
Well, I know his 9-year-old daughter, and she's so sweet. And
poor Stella.
For her to hear that, I'm worried about
She
her.
walked in and she's like, I heard that. I was like, oh, you definitely did. But I will say that the John Moxley homicide match was awesome.
Yes.
Very, very, very good.
It was.
And I will
it.
watch another I will watch another GCW.
Yeah, whatever
show.
comes in next weekend or whatever. I'll watch the
They
next
will
one.
live and they will learn.
Jeff Jarrett. We totally forgot about what you think about Jeff Jarrett? In or out? Liked it or not?
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, totally. It was exactly what it should have been.
I don't hate Double J
it was kind
at
of a
all.
perfect match.
I said it to
my biggest problem with him is that he stole my boy's wife. But they're still married, so it's it's like Sunyi and Woody. It's like I guess it was meant to be.
I had to steal your bitch to get it done. I said it to Tinder. I guess it was yesterday when I talked to him or whatever. That I think GCW for somebody like Jeff Jarrett. I'll just use Jeff Jarrett as the specific example. I'm not asking you to come out and do 5-star matches. I'm asking you to come out and, create a little controversy. Crack Alley Catch over the head with the guitar. Come out of nowhere and hit Effie with the guitar out of nowhere. Women's match, I was kind of surprised that Ruby Soho won, and then she got booed afterwards. I was like, oh, okay. But credit to the GCW fan base is that they were invested in Alley Catch way more so than Ruby Soho.
Absolutely. And the crowd was definitely a GCW crowd. I was like, who are these guys? Good for them.
Yeah. They made it interesting.
The ECW comparisons are impossible to escape because they had shirts that said GCF and W on the pre-show, which I also watched.
Okay, I didn't watch the pre-show.
I guess he's the owner or the commissioner or something like that. He came out and cut a promo, tons of F-bombs. I was like, who? It's like the,
okay, so that's where we're spearheading this.
I mean, not it's a different kind of thing. I'm reading a book about the Northern Irish versus the British, and the Northern Irish in the Troubles in like the 70s, and they were going to have a meeting with the ambassador to Northern Ireland, and all these IRA guys were like, "Fuck this! We're not wearing suits. We're wearing sweaters and pants." Okay. They did not give a shit. So do your thing. Any final thoughts on GCW?
No, the Two Beer said it. I'm going to jump on it first. I liked it. It wasn't bad enough to where it was like, it made my eyes roll. It wasn't great enough to where I'm getting ready to say this is my favorite promotion. It comes on every weekend. I can watch a 3-hour show every weekend. That's not a problem at all. I'll give it a chance.
Zach?
Yeah, I'll watch again, and I had a good time. It was groundbreaking for them. Nothing groundbreaking as far as like wrestling or anything, but fun characters, and it's a little taste of something different. It's not like the thing that I'm going to be watching all the time, but it was. Sometimes you just want to throw on some wrestling, and it's like stuff you've never seen before. And this was a very fun kind of little weekend entry. You're like, what do I do? Do I go out, drop, a stupid bar tab, or like pay too much money for food or whatever, or like you stay in and you pay $25 and you have yourself a little evening. And yeah, it was fun.
Production was really good. The opening vignette to start before the main show started was a nice little hook to where even somebody like me that never seen a full show was like, okay, let's get this shit going.
As somebody who has been on the side of production before, not necessarily in an environment like this, but in terms of miking stuff up and shit like that, that was probably as good as they were going to get, and that is not what they would spend their money on in terms of production. They want to make sure that the camera angles, they want to make sure they have replays and shit like that. you guys said everything that I wanted to say. I wouldn't pass it up again. I could be talked into watching another one.
Oh, I'm watching whatever the next week is or the week after. The next one up, I got to watch because now you kind of got me hooked, and I'm kind of curious to see what's next.
That is almost the complete opposite of what you just spent a half hour talking about.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, I said I want to
Now you're saying you're going to buy every single pay-per-view going forward.
No, I want to see what happens
that's
next.
That's what you just
No, I did not
said.
say that. You can rewind it if you want to.
I don't have to rewind it. I'm sitting here listening to you. I'm just trying to create some controversy for the show.
Okay.
Fuck you,
all
man.
right.
Let's get to that.
I'm not drunk enough for you to start doing some shit like that yet.
Let's get high.
You're the only one that goes down on that.
Fuck you. Fuck you. 2 beer. What's a 2 count?
2 count. We have AEW.
Ever again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we had AEW Rampage and Dynamite. I have to go back and look and see what Rampage was.
Rampage was Ethan Page versus Moxley.
Yeah. Which I thought was an interesting story. Not a total squash. Obviously, Moxley, just coming back, they were kind of telling the ring rust story. It took him 11 minutes to beat him, and also didn't, completely decimate Ethan Page. So
yeah,
I did enjoy that.
Felt like the crowd wanted a squash, and they weren't getting it. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way. But yeah, I do appreciate what they did instead, and I did love the little interaction where Moxley's walking back and Danielson's there smiling and clapping, and because they were originally going to meet in that tournament, and so
that didn't even cross my mind. Did not even cross my mind.
Yeah. So they're getting right back to it, and of course it's a match that everybody wants to see. And it's an interesting dynamic because if you remember before Moxley left, it kind of looked like he was going on a heel turn, and now that's not happening at all. And so I think Daniel Bryan kind of took his place, or Bryan Danielson rather, and took that heel turn also. So that I think they just kind of shifted gears. But that is something, speaking of plunking money down for wrestling shows, sign me up, like shoot it in my veins.
Yeah, let's just say right now that if you're on wrestling Twitter, or if you're on Twitter and you're part of the wrestling community, and you start talking about how we've already seen it in WWE, just fuck right the fuck off. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe we've already seen their match on, let's say, Backlash or Friday Night SmackDown or something. It's clearly not the same thing. So can we all get on the same page that if Moxley fights Danielson, that's not the same as Daniel Bryan fighting Dean Ambrose during the Obama administration. All right. Sorry.
No, I agree with that totally.
I mean, it's just not the same thing.
Well, in the argument of WWE, that same, kind of, loyalist or tribalist, whatever you want to call it, they're always saying that, AEW is taking shots at WWE, for A, B, C, D reason. Well, if you're WWE, you don't worry about what's happening on the outside world. You're so insulated. You're so above everything else. You shouldn't be worried about what everybody else is talking about. So if you're hearing that little noise, that's rabbit ears. That's just a different story entirely. That all being said, I'm excited for a John Moxley Danielson match at some point.
Hell yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have to drag that out just for this match itself. Tupi and I talked about this a little bit, and he took it another step that I didn't even think about. I like the ring rust aspect of it. It's no different than name your favorite athlete of your favorite sport. He just came back from injury. Usually they just don't come back right away and start dominating. It takes a couple of turns before they get back into their groove. That was this story. Did John Maxwell win? Yes. Of course he should have won. But it made Ethan Page still look as strong. So at a later point, if you want to use him, you can use him and not have to worry about him looking bad. And John Moxley moves along going forward. And then, like Two Beers said, on that point, we both agreed when he crossed paths with Danielson, that's okay. Ooh, yeah. You guys were supposed to fight for the, in that tournament to decide who was going to fight Page versus Kenny Omega. So, I mean, in that aspect, even though it took a side turn, detour, whatever you want to call it, it came right back on track. So, but the difference now, and that's why I'm still we'll talk about this later on the third count, heel Danielson versus Moxley face is what it is now. It probably was supposed to be the opposite when it first was initially booked.
Yeah, I mean, Danielson as a heel is always a little bit more interesting.
Hell yeah.
And because Moxley has been a face for so long, it's crazy how long he's been a face.
It would be kind of hard to bring him back as a heel after everything.
No.
Especially
you can't.
Coming back from rehab, it would be really hard to do.
The interesting part to me is not whether who's heel or who's face. It's how they book it and what kind of match they have.
Agreed.
And they are, obviously, we've been on record. I think that Danielson's the best in the world, so I am excited. And we talked last week about how Moxley seems raring to go.
Yeah. I was going to say the GCW match was a nice little litmus test. Ethan Page was, a nice little warm up, and there's no knock against Ethan Page. People know me, I love me some Ethan Page, but that was just a little story on the John Moxley path. And like I said, no knock against Ethan Page. I'm excited to see where this goes next.
Go ahead, Zach.
And then had a super fun match with Nick Jackson and Trent, where Trent went over. So continuing, this best friends, elite feud that they're having. Trent, looks great coming back from injury, and Nick Jackson is just such a phenomenal wrestler. And I don't know. I think as much as I talk about Nick Jackson and the Young Bucks in general, I still think he's underrated. Like,
Jesus, whatever. How you gonna tell? Let me get this straight.
I think he's better than people think that he is, and he's one of the best ever. Like, you know what I mean?
Come on, man. Come on. You can't have the Young Bucks over here being like Dyline, all right? You can't have the Young Bucks being the greatest tag team in the world. You can't have Nick Jackson like the greatest singles wrestler in the world. I'm fucking with you about that part. Okay, I guess here's my only problem with the whole thing is this. Initially, it was supposed to be a tag team match. Rocky versus and Trent, Roppongi 3K, but I can't think what their old
Roppongi
name.
Vice.
Thank you, Roppongi Vice versus the Bucks. So that was going to be a throwback to the New Japan days. Cool in the gang, I'm all for it. Obviously, from that point, Rocky got his bout with COVID, and then we had to come back to it. I think in this scenario, the match itself, if you want to say anybody is underrated, Trent Beretta is underrated. Everybody knows who Nick Jackson is, unless you're Bill. At that point, Trent Beretta is
Matt's brother, right?
Yeah, that guy. Point him out in the lineup if they both assaulted your ass. At this point, Trent Beretta is the guy that
couldn't do that.
Trent Beretta is Nick Jackson's dance partner, and he did just as good a job if anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Would I love to see the tag team match? Of course I would have. But this was just as good as match. Trent Beretta is one of the better guys in the game, and he just doesn't get any love. I was glad to see that he got a little flowers right here, and he kind of continued the feud to go into Wednesday night.
Yeah, and Trent's great. He's really good at all aspects of wrestling, and it is good. Like, he is one of Tony Khan's favorite wrestlers. Like, he's one of the first hires that they had. So, and it was cool for him to go over here because it doesn't hurt Nick Jackson.
The only thing I have to say about this match is that I was watching it today, and I was watching AEW Dynamite last night, and I was thinking, Jason and Zach would think I was lying if I told them that I couldn't tell Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor apart. But I don't think I know which one is which.
God, are you fucking serious right now?
I really don't. I really don't.
Dude, my head is getting ready to explode.
I think
There's
I did.
No way.
Trent Beretta used to be in WWE, and he was in a tag team with Brian Myers or Lance Archer, one of the two. Which one?
I want to say it's Brian Myers, but don't quote me on that. Lance Archer would stick out in WWE, I would think. Brian Myers.
But Lance Archer was in WWE for a while because he had the terrible tramp stamp.
I'll take your word for it. I was going to say WWE in certain parts.
Looks like I know something that you don't. Okay, let's keep going.
Here's a way to tell them apart. Chuck Taylor, definitely not a body guy.
There you go. Yes.
But
yes,
we had the kind of penultimate. Like the reason I tune into Rampage is for Hook, and we had another great Hook squash, and he was Serpentico. Hook's not a big guy, but he was able. He's bigger than Serpentico, and
was able to throw him around. His bitch.
Yeah, it was a standing Red Rum. Taz mentioned it looked awesome. And then QT comes out, and he just slams him. And QT is, like, number 2 best geek on the roster under Brandon Cutler. And just the fact that he's still talking into the microphone as he's getting slammed. So good. So good. Like, just so good at his job. We'll see, Hook's out there to do squashes and get over, and he's not out there to have great matches. He's out there to get over, and he's doing it. And eventually we will probably see some great matches from him, but for now, I'm fine watching him squash dudes on Friday night.
No, it's funny to watch, no question.
And we had a main event that overachieved, because I was not too high on this, because you have 2 green wrestlers who both have tons of potential, and they had a good match. Like this was good. It was like one of Jade's better matches. She's kind of struggled lately. They put her in long matches where she kind of gets exposed. But there was a commercial in the middle, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought the main event was pretty good, too. I'm not on the same Hook train as you guys are. I can't tell if you guys are trying to be ironic or not, but I thought that Jade versus Anna Jay. Jade keeps getting better every day. Anna Jay looked better in this match than she has since coming back. I think Jade is... They should cast Jade as Storm in the X-Men reboot or some shit like that.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
I mean, she is...
Yeah, Stevie Wonder can see that.
She is incredible.
Yeah, that's a layup on that one. No, I agree with Two Beer on this, and we kind of touched on this last night or whatever. I'm not looking for Hook to, win titles or have 5-star matches. Just roll his ass out there.
I just want him to go out there, kick ass, and eat shit.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? Him, slamming, side slamming or side suplexing QT Marshall, totally fine. I'm down with that. Him, making Serpentico look like his bitch, totally fine with that. Hook is, years away for at least a year, if not 2 years away for me personally, for me to even consider him as main event talent. It is what it is. Now that said, main event, I was kind of, a little hesitant thinking about this, but I thought both, did very well. Better than, like this motherfucker always said, it was better than what it should have been. And that was my takeaway from, no, I'm not taking away, I'm not giving it, any hell. I'm giving it its flowers.
No.
It had no business being as good
I'm
as
saying
it was.
anytime you agree with me, you're heating up.
Whatever. I was going to say, I thought it was better than it should have been. Jay looked good. Anna Jay looked, and Anna Jay, honestly, I wasn't sure who I was more worried about, because they both had been good in spots and they both had been kind of suspect in spots. You put it together, they kept it short, and I think that was probably the biggest deal. It wasn't Goldberg short. I'm not sure where this Goldberg Jade Cargill reference is coming from, but whatever, neither here nor there. good enough to where it got its point across, and we're moving forward to Dynamite on Wednesday night.
All right, what about
Yeah,
Dynamite?
so Dynamite, it opened with arguably one of the best. I mean, it's one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen. It was awesome. Sammy Guevara versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed TNT champion. Because
I'll say
he was
Bruce Buffer.
yes. Little Heyman Buffer guy, and yeah, these guys went out there and just gave it everything, and it was so good. Not just big spots, although there were plenty of big spots. There was a superplex off the ladder. There was a crossroads off the middle of the ladder. There was a cutter that was absolutely insane, like cutter, almost off the top of the springboard. And
that was the best part. That was the best part.
That was the spot of the match.
It really was. And then there was like the big Jeff Hardy swanton, where Sammy's like standing on the very top of like a 12-foot ladder and falls down on Cody with a swanton, and that thing didn't break at all.
It didn't even budge. It felt like it was just like, okay, you want to bounce off of Cody? Fair enough. Here's the impact, and now you're feeling it too.
Yeah, it was just awesome, and Sammy ends up winning and grabbing both belts. So that's cool. Like good for Sammy, and we continue this Cody saga where there's like a lot of mixed reactions with Cody. He's really good at playing into it, and but one of the better Dynamite matches, and this is a work rate promotion, and this is an awesome match. I loved it.
I'd say it's one of the 5 best Dynamite matches of all time. Off the top of my head, I have Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan. Adam Page versus Daniel Bryan in the hour-long draw. The Thunder Rosa Britt Baker ladder match, that was pretty fucking crazy. That was for the belt.
The match that never happened.
Huh?
The match that never happened.
Wait, wasn't that the match?
Okay. You're not talking about the lights out match?
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker. Yes. Okay. This match, the second Daniel Bryan Adam Page match, and there's probably a tag team match in there too that I'm forgetting about, but
for me, Pac, tapping out Kenny Omega to me has to be on that top 5 somewhere. And I don't and I'm not trying to, say my pick is better than yours. That's just something to me in the infancy of AEW, where
they put themselves on the map.
As a New Japan guy, I know who Kenny Omega is, but I only know who Pac is that really what WWE showed me. He's only 205, and he had to cough up the 205 title to Enzo.
Can you believe this charlatan is in here and never watched Dragon Gate? Jesus Christ. But you would put this match in the top 10?
Oh, yeah.
Just Dynamite matches. Not AEW matches, but Dynamite matches, like on free TV.
This was a pay-per-view admission. Yes. Yeah, it was a pay-per-view match. We got it for free. Mm-hmm. I was a little worried that they wouldn't give Sammy the title back, but once Cody started to work the back, kind of worked the knee, the figure four between the ladder or whatever the case may be, he was acting a little heelish, and that made me think, okay, if you wanted to give Sammy the title back and make him look good doing it, this is for him fighting from underneath, and you can have him win the title with the Scorpio Sky looking from the skybox down.
It's the kind of match that you would show a non-wrestling fan and be like, check this out.
Hopefully you would like it, because
yes,
the spots weren't like they were off. The only spot that was off was outside the cutter where Sammy did the cutter on Cody, and Cody didn't actually.
That was a bit of a botch, but that is
outside of that
is picking nits though.
Look,
that is
like I said,
picking nits.
Outside of that, I ain't got no problem with this one.
All right, Zach, what's up?
Sorry, fumbling with my mute button there. I watched this late.
I thought he said his
was...
meat button, which made it sound like he was jerking off his tiny dick.
Oh my god,
dude!
I
almost killed Jason. Jason had to run away. Sorry, dude. Don't cough too loud over there. Baby's sleeping.
Dude, I just have this weird feeling. Okay. So, some other stuff that kind of happened in the middle. It kind of bookended by two really good matches. But we had Wardlow doing, another squash. This time it was a handicap squash. So, Spears didn't do the chair stuff because Wardlow wouldn't let him. Wardlow's from Cleveland, and I was kind of thinking they might do his babyface turn, but they didn't. So,
Jesus Christ.
I think it's coming next week, no matter what.
I will say
it
that.
was just,
Sorry, Tuvier, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say in his hometown, I figured the pop would be enormous, but they have a plan, and they didn't do it.
No, I thought Cleveland showed Wardlow some love for sure. The funny part, well, two funny parts, and really centered around Wardlow as far as I was concerned. When MJF was like, powerbomb him. Wardlow was kind of like, yeah, all right, man. He took his sweet time about it, and then when he actually did it, it was just kind of like, I
didn't put his all into it.
By no stretch of imagination. This was like a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. Outside of that, I thought Wardlow, did what we needed him to do. The one other thing that I'm glad that didn't happen is that Shawn Spears didn't come down and, overshadow Wardlow's spot. It's his hometown. Let him have his moment. God forbid he has, this only moment, but we would like to see a bunch more. Shawn Spears is going to get his here in a little bit. Obviously he attacked CM Punk from behind, and that, got this whole thing started. But right now, this is about Wardlow. Let him do his thing. Let me laugh at his facial expressions. Looking at MJF, you're like, motherfucker, you ain't shit. You know that, right? That to me is what the funny part about Wardlow is. Once he breaks away, he's going to have to step up that part of his game to elevate him to more so of a main event status kind of guy.
Some other stuff. We had a Britt Baker promo that was fun, but didn't really go anywhere.
Shit. Fuck the Browns.
Jason loved it. I know Jason loved it. Just because it's all Steelers all the time. I mean, what a pointless... if you don't love the Steelers or you don't love the Browns, what a pointless fucking promo, though. Like, it was like, I'm sitting there. I knew everything that she was referring to. I got hey, here's a Baker that actually wins. I got it. It's fine.
That's
but
my dog.
Was it just there to establish Britt Baker as a massive heel again? Because nobody else likes the Browns and nobody else likes the Steelers. It just seemed kind of.
I'm sitting right here, right?
It was masturbatory.
Ooh.
It was a masturbatory promo. Do you agree, Zach? I mean, there was nothing in it for people like me and Zach who don't give a fuck about Cleveland or Pittsburgh. Stop making noises like that, you fucking pervert. You sound like a creep, man. The Jericho LAX versus 2.0 thing was strange to me because it seemed like the story they were trying to tell is that that LAX needs Jericho, which is really strange to me. That's a weird way for them to go. Oh, yeah, because he Judas elbowed, or what's it called? Judas affected one of the 2.0 guys when the ref wasn't looking, and then LAX pinned him, and then Jericho backed up the ramp. Jason, you're making a face like you didn't watch AEW Dynamite. Jericho backed up the ramp being like, you fuckers need me. You guys need me.
I watched the AEW. Okay, trust. You can see it on Twitter. It's not like I didn't watch it, okay? I'm just seeing it a totally different way. I'm going to let you... I was trying to let you finish until you came over here and jumped across the table. So now, Two Beer... You're the deciding vote. What did you think of that match?
I honestly, I was kind of blanked out at this point. Like, this is not super intriguing to me, so I had it on. But as far as the minutia, like, I didn't pick up on anything. I'm just not super interested in this feud anymore. It's been a long time.
Fair enough.
Been a lot of mixed matches. So I guess I'm kind of abstaining. I'm not being a tiebreaker. I'm abstaining from the feud.
That's fine. That's fine. It kind of sucked. I think everybody agreed it kind of sucked.
Okay, all I'm gonna say on this one is this: it's not about Chris Jericho at this point. Jericho is over and is made. If he never has another match in AEW, God forbid, he is good.
It's about the dead presidents.
Yes, exactly. And I was waiting for them to turn on Jericho, and they didn't.
Well, hopefully it happens next week.
They basically, I get what you're saying, but it was more so to me like the assist. Santana and Ortiz were going to tag each other in and out and they were going to freeze out Jericho as long as they could.
Okay.
And then when Jericho came in, boom, no, you're going to get right back out. And then at the very end, the hot tag, Jericho's basically like kind of fuck this, and then that's when Jericho came into play. It was more so about Santana and Ortiz trying to establish their own independence.
Fair enough. And I'm on record as being I want LAX to do more in the tag division for AEW. I'm just going to reiterate what I said last week. Jericho, take your flabby ass out of AEW, start shedding some LBs, and come back.
Let that man go, okay?
Come back when you don't look like a fucking narwhal without a fucking horn.
Great shit.
I mean, I've been looking at baby books for like the last two weeks. I don't know why there's so many narwhals. There's narwhals all over. It's like I never met a narwhal in my entire life. Then you have a kid, and all you hear about is fucking narwhals.
I was like, just wait till she gets a little older.
Jericho, retire, you flabby ass motherfucker.
Actually, can I say something real quick, real dark?
I love
30
Jericho.
seconds?
He's just fat as shit.
No,
put a shirt on. I mean, Sting doesn't take his shirt off. He's 62. He's jumping through tables. Just put your shirt back on, you concave-chested fucking flabby bitch.
Wow. Never mind. I was going to. Never mind. Two beer. Let's move along.
Yeah, what's next, Two beer?
Oh man. MJF and Punk. We're gonna get that in Chicago, which I think MJF did a good job of, little nod to the pipe bomb. He sits on his chest after the Pinnacle beat him down, like in the pipe bomb position.
Incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that was very cool. And I'm looking forward to MJF beating Punk in Chicago and watching that place melt down. Because the way it's set up, he is, standing tall, the week before, which usually means that, the babyface wins because, the babyface is laid out. If they get knocked down the week before, typical kind of booking psychology. But
that's WWE booking, though.
Okay, thank you. I was getting ready to say, somebody say this before I jump in this bad boy. But go ahead, Two Beer. Go ahead.
But yeah, I think MJF wins next week. I think it would be very, very cool for him to give Punk his first loss. Because, who's going to do it? Unless it's like a championship match. I guess you could have Punk go undefeated until he eventually gets a championship match. But I think it means more if, somebody's got to hand Punk his first loss, and MJF's the perfect dude to do it because he would never let anybody forget it, ever.
Jason, what do you think?
I agree with that. Didn't think that, obviously, we're going to get Punk versus MJF on Wednesday. I'm surprised we're going to get it on, a week from now. I want to see where this match goes. I kind of agree with Two Beer on this one. I kind of agree with the MJF winning is more so of the bigger issue. As long as Hangman is the champ, I think MJF is still nipping on the heels.
I think you're thinking about this the wrong way. Sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
go
like
ahead.
this is MJF versus Punk. I mean, this is what I loved about the promo on Wednesday night was Punk saying, "Yeah, you listen to that podcast because you're a fan. which is as big of an insult. That is such an insult to a guy that's staying there talking shit to you on the ramp. But it's also probably what gets MJF going. There is no benefit at all to having MJF lose to Punk. There's no benefit. Punk can always get back to where he is right now. I mean, true enough, MJF probably could too. But Punk can always get back, and Punk said when he came back, he was there to wrestle guys they'd never wrestled before.
Yep.
Which should be code for I'm here to put guys over, which is what Daniel Bryan is doing, which is what Daniel Bryan just did with Page, which is what Daniel Bryan is going to do with Moxley, because Moxley is not going to lose that feud with Daniel Bryan.
Agree with the Page part.
So this is it. Like, Punk is here to put MJF over, and I am here to watch it. And if Punk goes over MJF and they don't have a 3-match series,
I think they're going to have it regardless.
Well, then
I think they're going to have it regardless.
Well, then I would start questioning why the fuck Punk came back.
2 beer?
I don't know that they'll have a series. I
don't think they're going to.
Really?
Yeah, it's been.
You don't think there's going to be a trilogy in some form or fashion?
They don't have, like Zach just said, they don't have a lot of rematches. They only had Bryan versus Page because the first one was a draw. That's exciting booking to me. AEW has exciting booking. You know what?
I'm not talking about next week.
Hold on. Let me jump ahead a little bit.
Go ahead.
Because, you know what? I'll jump back. But it also applies to the main event this week. They had Sam Mcguiver versus Cody. And I was like, man, this is kind of a feud. Kind of not a feud. But at least this feud is peaking on a Dynamite where all WWE trains you to do is have feuds peak on a pay-per-view. But kayfabe style, if feuds are supposed to go the way they're supposed to go, they're not always going to peak on that. And then we have Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole, baby, in a huge match that was very fun to watch, that only had one interference, and it was a very funny, very indie style interference of Danhausen. I thought that was so well done. Like, so well done.
I just don't get it.
It felt like a Coen Brothers movie to me. It was like the guy got drawn out from underneath the ring, and then you never saw him again. You were like, wait, did that matter? Or did it actually happen?
We saw that, right?
Anyway.
Yeah, after, like, having a late night and then, like, waking up, I was like, I had that kind of, I'm thinking
With the
about
Blazers
stuff, and I was
game.
like, yeah, I was like, did this
So mad.
even happen? Like, yeah, I mean, a little VIP dinner with the cheerleaders and the alumni. Yeah, it's but
Jason just made the jerk off motion. I was like, yeah, dude, that's what Dexter's doing. Good for him.
But yeah, so so I wake up and I'm just like, was Danhausen like on Dynamite? I was like, because that's something that could have happened in a dream. Like,
yes, it is very strange.
Dreaming about the match that I watched right before I went to bed, and I'm dreaming about Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy, and I'm like, did that really happen? But yeah, I thought it was fun, and he got a big reaction. It was cool.
He got a chant. It was fun.
I just don't get Danhausen. That's just me. That's just me.
He's one of those guys that you don't have to, you know?
And I don't. I really don't. I would like to, because it was like Orange Cassidy.
You only like guys with half their face painted.
Apparently, what was it? Seiko Sequoia had paint half have his face painted, and everybody's looking at it. It's like it's a manga or not a manga, whatever.
I gotta keep this on track. So we had the Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch match,
which was a really bad match with an even worse finish. This match was bad.
Yes, it was bad. And they were both the number one contenders. They were tied for number one contendership. Well, whatever.
Yeah, more so to my point.
Which one do you think has more, as a wrestling fan, which one do you like more?
Layla Hirsch, easily. Not even a question.
Zach?
I actually lean Red Velvet because she's got a lot more charisma and personality.
Layla Hirsch is different. She's got something that's just a little different about her.
She's Serena Deeb, but just not named Serena Deeb.
She's like, I was going to say she's more like Chad Gable.
Shayna Baszler, whatever.
I was thinking Shayna Baszler. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, Chad Gable's mic work over the last few weeks has gotten, just saying, my beefers might have been correct. Next up, we had the...
Too bad you're the only one watching.
Two beer. You want me to take this next one?
What is the next one?
The promo by the Shitty Tats.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So it was Black and Brody King, and they cut a Undertaker 1993 adjacent promo about how they were there to wreak havoc and who's going to fuck with them. And it was... Saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about how great this promo was, and I was thinking it was like Bray Wyatt Jr. You know how Bray Wyatt is Hardy's? This shit is Carl's Jr.
Ooh.
Taste it.
That's hot. Okay. All right, look. I'm not going to sit here and say that Malachi Black has had good points, bad points, high and low. I'll just say this. In Malachi Black's defense, this is what is probably supposed to be. You're not necessarily... The only problem I have is once again, they jump into the number 5 ranked opponents, and I can't even remember who they just crushed. I think it was the Varsity Blondes last week. That, to me, is more of the bigger angle from me looking from the outside in. Julia Hart checking Griff Garrison like it's nobody's business. That, to me, was more impactful than what they were talking about on their promo, whatever the case may be. Can we just get rid of the rankings? I guess that's my ultimate problem with... No, we need to get rid of the rankings. I mean, all of a sudden, or, can we expand it to a top 10? Because now you're getting a team that just got together within the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Granted, they beat down the Varsity Blondes. You can argue that if you want to. That is one match. One.
No. The rankings have to stay.
It's just a prop.
Yeah, it's a prop. They can change, but the reason they had Adam Cole lose this week,
because they could. It doesn't matter.
Right, so he could stay undefeated.
Yes, I get that point.
I know you get that point. So what's your problem with the rankings, though? The rankings fucking rule.
No, don't stay. The rankings don't rule. Okay, it's pick and choose when we want to use it. If you do it, let's do it arbitrarily or not at all.
It's just more story.
You shouldn't need that, though. Yeah, you shouldn't need that, though.
It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just more story.
They make it more complicated than what it should be. Can
we agree? AEW does?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I disagree with that.
Wow. Okay, cool.
I don't watch Dark and Elevation, though.
I don't watch Dark and Elevation, but you're going to sit here and tell me.
What are you talking about?
If you're going to sit here and tell me, and Zach, you can chime on this too, because this is your spot. How is Red Velvet the number 1 ranked woman coming into...
Is this how this started? Who cares about Red Velvet, man?
We're talking about the rankings. She was number 1. Layla Hirsch is number 2. I need to understand how we got from not seeing them at all on Dynamite versus now all of a sudden the rankings reset and these two are the top two women coming into this match? Do I need to watch Dark and Elevation?
I just don't have any strong feelings about it. It's just a tool and like to be used for storytelling purposes. I don't think it's anything like, it's not like it's so nonsensical that it's going to make me angry. You know, it's not like it's like stupid storytelling devices that we've seen on WWE and like tropes that we've seen on WWE. It's just a tool that they can use or they can not use, because the whole point is to book matches that people want to see.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't always have to be ranking.
Okay.
You sound like an old uncle talking about the Kennedy assassination. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree with that. The rankings are good, though.
Okay. If you say so.
All right, what's next, Zach? Jason's gonna kill.
Talk about the main event. You know, we covered most of it, but you know, fun, lights out match. They did some big shit, big finish.
Well, Cassidy went over, which was surprising to me. That wasn't surprising to you, Jason?
It's Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa all over again. Orange Cassidy, they said it before the match started. He never beat Adam Cole up into this point. If you're going to do it,
with the lights out.
Right, it's the lights out stipulation to where
with Omega.
Exactly.
You know, Omega hadn't lost.
Exactly. Or Britt. Yeah. To me, it was Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa. To me, it was just that scenario where because they've kind of drilled it into me in the last couple weeks. When I see one, I think of the other. So it's the same kind of match with obviously two different opponents. I guess my problem with this is Orange Cassidy wins. Now what? What are we going to do with Orange Cassidy? Because ultimately, if we're going to play the wins and losses game,
it's
matters.
Pretty strange.
If we're going to play the wins and losses game matters, this is it should feel like a huge win because he beat Adam Cole, baby, who is undefeated.
Totally
but
agree.
In the grand scheme of things, it never happened.
Right. It is.
So now what?
So why not just have Adam Cole win?
Okay.
Orange Cassidy can lose forever, though. Right?
No. I don't think so. At some point, there would be a little bit of revolt, but that's neither here nor there. I'll just kind of stick to the point. They kind of painted themselves in a corner that we talk about WWE being in the corner a lot of times. I get what you're trying to do, but you already did it. So you needed to come up with a better booking strategy versus doing the same booking strategy, but just changing.
Did you like the match?
It was good. It was good, not great.
Two Beers Zach, did you like the match?
Yeah, it was super fun. You know, it was a different vibe, you know, I think largely in part for Orange Cassidy, but Adam Cole has great, like, comedic value, too, especially as a heel. So, you know, like, I don't necessarily see a problem with the booking. It is redundant when you look at the history of the Lights Out matches. It seemed a little predictable. And like predictable is not always bad, but it wasn't like there was like a payoff where we got like what we wanted to see. It wasn't, you know, it didn't have a lot of teeth.
Did you expect Adam Cole to win?
Yes. I'll speak for me.
And you know, as far as you know, he's definitely over. He is, you know, somebody that.
But did you expect him to win that match, Zach?
I did, yeah.
I mean, it was a surprising win.
Just the way, I mean, you know, the way I was thinking about it is the way, like, Tony was thinking about it. Like, he had lost the previous match, you know, in the straight up like wrestling match, and. You know, you tend to lean towards heels winning these unsanctioned matches or whatever because they can, you know, you got the run-ins and everything. which we did have, but it was ultimately like to no avail. But yeah, I mean, it was a way for Adam Cole to lose without losing, and that's kind of like how I thought about it. And keep Orange Cassidy strong because he's well booked. Like, he does lose occasionally, but he's been very well booked, and he's somebody that you can throw maybe not a pay-per-view title match, although he's been in those.
But how many matches has Adam Cole had in AEW? And it feels to me like I think it's like 4 maybe. It feels to me
he
like
was 9-0 coming into
9-0
last night.
Holy shit! It feels to me like Tony Khan flipped a coin because he would like to book himself out of that corner, whatever happened.
It kind of is what it is. I think they're trying to delay until they get to their pay-per-view and then set up their big-time matches and then kind of move forward. How they're getting there, I'll let you call it.
All right. Any last thoughts on this, Zach?
Next pay-per-view is in March.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think you're getting one of like the 3 versus Page is going to be the match, I think, for March, whether it's Punk, Danielson, or Adam Cole. I feel like you have to do one of those. So, in the meantime, you got Lance Archer with the Texas Death match, that nobody expects him to win.
Shame.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
All right.
It was a good show.
What, Dynamite? Is that what you mean, Zach? Dynamite was a good show?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it was a good show.
Anything in the middle, but the beginning and the end were both off.
Oh my god, it was fucking great. I'm an AEW sexual. It fucking rules, man.
Glad we finally got you out the closet.
So now it's time to edge me.
1, 2, 3.
I think I told my boss about this show this week. I hope he doesn't listen this week and just hear me say edge me. When I'm talking about the WWE Royal Rumble, everybody, we're talking about the WWE Royal Rumble. And before we get into our predictions.
No, I'll say that. I
want to talk about
your question
the
right
Seth
now.
Rollins, Roman Reigns promos that have been happening the last couple of weeks because they've been pretty good.
I've seen the highlights.
So you're not watching SmackDown anymore either. You're done with SmackDown.
Yeah. I mean, it's really basically, for me, as I'm looking at it, it's really 2 storylines that I care about.
Zach,
and really one.
Zach, did you watch SmackDown this week?
He's heating up.
That motherfucker didn't say a word.
All right. We don't have to talk about it, I guess.
No, we can talk about it. Okay, I will start watching WWE. How is it that when I watched WWE for the first 2.5, 3 years, maybe 3.5 years of this podcast, I was just like, oh, yeah, go ahead, Jay, you watch that shit. When I decide, you know what, these motherfuckers have pissed me off for the final time, and I want to take a break from this shit. Now I'm like, what are you doing?
Now you got so much more time to watch other wrestling that we were not going to talk about.
Good. I get it, but the problem with this, at least the way they have booked this, I saw Seth Rollins where, I would rather, wrestle your wife. Seth is throwing out Mox's name. And this is me watching it on YouTube. I didn't have to go through 2-3 hours at a time to
who the fuck watches it like that?
Look, I watch it like that.
You watch it live?
On Mondays? Hell yeah.
I guess you could say you watch it raw.
Bing. So at that point, it kind of makes it. I'm glad I didn't watch, Bobby Lashley getting, emasculated by Brock Lesnar week by week, talking about Bobby. Who?
We don't
Get
have,
the fuck out of
we
here
don't have to talk about it. I just think that Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns I think they've had like 3 good back and forth promos. Not saying that they're going to win the Roman Reigns promo of the year or anything. I'm just saying it's been very good between those two because they're both playing heels, but Roman is such a heel that Seth is kind of playing the baby face. And I'm just saying the last 3 weeks have been really good between those two.
I want to get into it.
So before we get into the winners, let's hear, Jason, do you have any predictions on surprise entries in either Royal Rumble?
Ronda Rousey obviously is one of the people that you would see or hear. Jeff Jarrett is one of those that you see or hear. I mean, I want to say that if there's one that's going to be like, oh, you don't see that coming.
You don't want to say it until predictions?
No, honestly, because I don't think there's anybody that I want to say that's, outside of WWE. It's like, oh, my God.
So who do you say?
I'm going to still say with Mickie James. I mean, I think you had the Iconics. No, you had the Iconics being apparently.
Such a huge prediction.
You had the apparently, supposedly, whatever you want to use with that, you had the Iconics being offered to come back, and they said no. So there's some petty shit going out there. You make it. Zach.
Any predictions? Any predictions for some, legend, Honky Tonk Man, something like that?
Yeah, but I expect that.
No, there's 22 people named. We only have 8 to fill up. Zach, any predictions? Rick the Model Martel.
I'm leaning to Tonka.
Woo!
See, that's what I'm talking about. Come on, man. This is all going the 8 or 10, depending on which side it is. I would like to think that people that talent knows what WWE is. If you go over there, you're going over there for whatever they want you to do. You're not going to have any control. You better save your money because they can cut you literally within a week.
Zach, who are you taking?
What are you taking for,
surprise entrance?
Oh, I was only kind of partially joking with the Tonka, but, I haven't given it any thought at all as far as surprise entrances. I couldn't care less. It might be a fun pop, but it's just
you guys are fucking dick bags.
No,
both of you guys are fucking dick bags.
No,
yes, both of your dick bags. Let's do predictions.
Do you have Mickie James? Do you have Mickie James winning the Royal Rumble?
No, fuck no. I don't think about Mickie James. I don't think about Summer Rae. I'm not some WWE shill.
Exactly. That's
I'm a purist.
His point, and that's my point. Outside of the WWE and their little bubble that they like to control so well, there's nobody that's going to come in from the outside in that actually would make a little money.
Do you know how many people are out there saying that Cody Rhodes is showing up?
Plenty.
That the Good Brothers are showing up. That Jericho's showing up. They talked about the Forbidden Door. You know who the big surprise is going to be on Saturday?
Mickie James.
Gable Stevenson. It's just going to be some dude that's just a fart in the wind. It's not like they're like, oh, well, Jericho, they might let him do it. No. It's like Jericho's
that's
not
saying like Finn Balor's going to win the Royal Rumble. I got those guys.
Yeah, but Jericho, he showed up on Stone Cold's podcast. It's like that's because Vince doesn't even piss on Stone Cold's podcast. He doesn't even think about it. There's nothing big happening. No. Nothing.
No, it's
Mickie James.
Like people are expecting some world. The biggest thing that's going to happen is Ronda's going to come back. That's the biggest thing.
I agree 1,000%. We'll probably talk about this later when we get to predictions. But before we get to
that
predictions,
is also the most exciting thing. Like that, I will watch WWE. Like I think Ronda Rousey is such a star, and I enjoyed her work so much last time. I will tune in for her segment.
I think if WWE came out with the match order, it would be way easier to predict who wins and who loses. Because if the men's Royal Rumble goes on first or something, then I know that the women's Royal Rumble going on last, and that means that there's going to be something huge at the end of it, which is probably Ronda Rousey. So I'll know it. In fact, give me Vegas odds as soon as the music hits.
I was going to say,
I'm going to put money on it.
I have all contingencies locked down. I'm ready to go. Let's make these predictions happen, Captain.
I mean, I didn't get to say mine, but I guess that's fine.
No, did we even make a prediction yet?
From Ringside.
He's talking about a surprise entrance.
That's right.
Who's your surprise entrance?
Okay, so there's a few matches.
I just helped you out, but
before
go
we
ahead.
get to the Rumbles. A few matches before we get to the Rumbles. Let's start with Becky Lynch versus Doudrop. I'll go first. I think this is the biggest lock on the card. I'm going Becky Lynch. Jason, what do you got?
Haven't seen it in a while, and this is kind of the reason why. Becky Lynch.
Two beers. Zach Pullman, what do you got?
Unanimous lock of the week.
I would almost call it the Lynch of the week. Oh, shit. Sorry, Jason.
Sitting right here, ladies and gentlemen. That's how much I love this motherfucker. Go ahead.
Zach, who you got?
Said Becky Lynch.
He did?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
That's what the locks go to. Jesus
Okay, well, I
Christ.
missed it, motherfucker.
As quick as you said the racist joke behind it, you didn't catch the front part of the where he's. Never mind. Go ahead.
Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Grid couple versus it couple. I got
Against
the grid
Miz and
couple.
Maurice.
Go ahead.
Who do you have?
The baby faces.
So you have Edge. Okay. Who you got, Zach?
Say it slow so that
Yeah.
way he's got it.
I'm gonna go with Seth.
Okay, I'm going Miz. I think they're going to go to WrestleMania with Edge versus The Miz, and Edge got the first one. I think it's Miz's turn this time. Next up, we have...
And that's why I don't watch anymore. Horrible.
Wait, who is that?
Oh, Jesus, he can't read his own handwriting. Come on, man.
Oh, that's an R. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Who you got? Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can go with this if you're a thinker like me. But Jason probably just...
I can't believe
you
you
got?
read on your own handwriting. That to me is kind of
I
comedy.
thought that was a B. It's an R.
So you thought it was Bowman Bane?
Get your boy. Get your boy. I got Roman Reigns. There's not even much to talk about. I'm glad I missed this whole bit up to it because why? Roman Reigns wins.
I'm going to take Roman Reigns 2. There's so much stuff that can happen after this. It all depends on match order, but I'll take Roman Reigns because all roads lead to Roman Reigns, and you're dumb if you get Seth
In this case, it doesn't.
All right. Zach.
I'm gonna be dumb, and I'm gonna go
Really?
against the grain, make it interesting, because and the reason I'm picking Seth is apparently Seth was supposed to win the other title whenever they did that
Before
five-way or
Roman
whatever.
got COVID or whatever.
Yeah, so he was supposed to be a champion. So I don't know, maybe he would be course correcting or whatever. But I mean, it's a long reign that Reigns has had, and Reigns is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania regardless. So I don't know, could be interesting. I'm gonna pick Seth.
So you're taking Seth.
I'm taking Seth.
All right. So the last one-on-one match we have is Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Did I go first last time? I'll go first this time. I'm taking Lashley.
Ooh.
And the reason I think I'm taking Lashley, you guys both have your locks locked in because I'm about to convince you right now.
I already know what you're thinking, but I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
I think that the Bloodline's going to get involved and they are going to mess it up, or Heyman will get in there, mess it up for Lesnar, and then we still get Lesnar versus Reigns in a main event at WrestleMania. Zach, what do you think?
I'm going to go Brock, just because it is very hard to bet against him. And, yeah, I mean...
That's why I should get more points for going Lashley, but it's fun.
I don't necessarily think he wins at Mania, but I think he does carry the belt into Mania. And then also, with Seth beating Roman, maybe that Roman beats Brock for the title at Mania. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to go Brock.
Jason? Tiebreaker.
See, you guys looked at it in a totally different way than I looked at it, because I'm thinking
that's the beauty of the pod.
We've seen Brock win the title from a Money in the Bank aspect. Can we see Brock drop the title to Bobby Lashley here and then reinsert himself in some form of fashion in the Royal Rumble, and then win said Royal Rumble, and now he's back into the mix? So now you're asking me to choose which scenario I think is likely going to happen. I'm gonna take Brock to win this match, to retain over Bobby Lashley. I just don't think that WWE can get out of their way to make this right. It's kind of, this whole thing is overbooked, and now they're talking about title versus title. I agree with Bill. It depends on match selection, what happens first, and then you go from there. But if you got me at gunpoint, if you're making me choose, I'm going to take Brock over Bobby Lashley.
Okay, so we have the 2 Rumbles left. So I'm going to make a rule right now for the women's, is that you have to name the person. You cannot just say unknown, because there are women coming back.
No, I have answers both ways.
All right. I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to pick...
I can name you 3. Because I thought it would be like 3 women.
I'm going to pick Asuka third. I'm going to pick Bayley second. And I'm going to pick... Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. I'm going to pick Bayley third. I'm going to pick Ronda Rousey second. And I'm picking Lita 1. Jason, you're up.
Okay, so Lita and Charlotte, because I have been watching, like I said, via afar. Charlotte is playing the Brock Lesnar role that we saw 2 years ago. I'm coming in number 1, and then whoever ends up throwing me out is the person that's going to face me at WrestleMania. That will be Lita. I'll give you that. They basically gave it away. Another story for another time. So if we're going to name 3 women, I'll go least to first.
Yes.
Okay, I'll name 3 women from least to first. I'll go Alexa Bliss, because she's just coming back. Apparently, she has she's going back to the goddess. She's been gone a while. Blah 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 blah.
That's a terrible pick. Okay.
I'm not sure. Look, Bayley's not coming back any closer than what Alexa Bliss is.
I didn't say anything.
We saw Alexa Bliss on TV. Now, that being said, moving forward, Bianca Belair is going to be my number 2. It makes sense because you got options both ways. Becky versus Bianca makes sense. Bianca versus Charlotte makes sense. However, to me, if you're going to do it and you do it the right way, might not sell tickets, but it makes storyline sense. Asuka needs to be the number 1. Asuka was gifted the title to Becky Lynch. Now Asuka can come back. If it's not Becky Lynch and Asuka. Asuka has a receipt for Charlotte. I was running around here undefeated, and now you gave me my first L. I'll go that route.
Zach, third to first.
Third to first. Alexa Bliss third, because I think they're going to ditch this, weird storyline, which I thought they were going to do initially, but I think she goes back to being the goddess. Bianca Belair, just because, she really, was a great winner last year, and doing it back to back, and her getting some retribution at WrestleMania, where I think that would be really cool. And I'm picking Ronda Rousey to win it. She's showing up and she's winning, and she is calling out Becky Lynch.
Okay.
Because they never got that singles match.
No, I was getting ready to say, no, that was going to be asked. If she's coming out and she wins, what's the payoff?
Just to say, from 3 to 1, this is how we have them picked. I have Bayley, Ronda Rousey, and Lita. Jason has Bliss, Belair, and Asuka. And Zach has Bliss, Belair, and Rousey. There are points on the board there, boys. Points on the board.
Do you think Lita's actually going to win this damn thing?
Why the fuck else did they bring
all
her
right,
back?
all right. Now, then I'm going to ask you the same thing. I asked Two Beer.
I'm not the one.
No. What's
I don't
the
have
end
the
game?
pencil.
No, what's the end game? If you're bringing Lita back, what do you do with her? Because she wins the Royal Rumble.
Becky Lynch goes over or something? Like she just makes... they brought The Rock back to have Cena go over after Cena had 14...
Rock won the first match.
I know, but Cena had 14 fucking championships by the time there was back there.
Okay.
It's the same fucking thing.
Okay.
Fuck. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go pee. I'm sick of this shit.
I'll take it from here.
We'll talk about the men's.
The men's Royal Rumble is up next. We'll just go worst to first. I don't know necessarily there's going to be, Jeff Jarrett is going to be one of those guys I think is going to come back up. You got Johnny Knoxville. Honestly, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't care who wins this. I'll say that a part of my prediction is contingent on what happens before. Well, I won't say what happens before, but I like Brock in this bad boy. I will just go ahead and upside down. I like Brock in this bad boy because I think ultimately we've seen them put Brock Lesnar in the spot where he's lost and then come back to win. I'm going to go worst to first. I'll go Brock Lesnar as my security piece, because if he loses to Lashley, which could actually happen, I can see Brock reinserting himself as the quote-unquote free agent, because there's basically no rules for Brock. He does do whatever he wants to do. So if WWE wants to be WWE, he can lose to Lashley.
What's your 3, 2, 1?
I'm getting to that point.
Oh, my bad.
Brock is number 3, and that's those reasons why. Number 2 is probably most people's number 1, and I get it. Big E is going to be my number 2. It makes a lot of sense. It makes storyline sense. I'm just not at a point where you can make me believe that Big E is going to be that guy. So, now, number 1. Somebody that has had a match with Brock, that can have a match with Roman Reigns, and can lose either or and have no shine loss. I'm going to take AJ Styles as the guy that men's Royal Rumble winner. Number 1, AJ Styles.
Zach, you're up next.
All right. Mine are actually very similar, but they're the same people, just in a different order. I had AJ as number 3 because he's never done it before, and he is just that guy that you can guarantee is going to give you an excellent match, whoever you put him with. And he's a good safety bet like if you're thinking, as far as like Vince McMahon, obviously high on the guy. Omos is going to be in that thing. Him throwing Omos out would make storyline sense, and
Agreed.
That would be cool. So AJ Styles number 3, Brock Lesnar number 2, and Big E number 1. So I don't necessarily see Big E taking the title back, but he lost it pretty quickly. His run was, unfortunately, they weren't behind him, but I could see him winning the Rumble because he's very marketable, and he's exactly the kind of dude that they want, out there promoting WrestleMania. Yeah, they've not done a good job of Big E single run. We all wanted to see it real bad, and
he was going out. Never mind.
I don't know.
I'll leave it alone.
He won like 5 pay-per-view matches, right? 4 pay-per-view matches.
No, he lost a bunch of fucking pay-per-view matches and lost. Well, not even say that. He lost a bunch of Raw matches, lost the Roman Reigns match, and then ends up losing it when they, God forbid, Roman got sick.
Here's where I'm at, and I'll start with one. I predicted Lashley over Lesnar, and that's because I think that Lashley is going to win over Lesnar due to some shenanigans from the Bloodline or Heyman, and then Big E is going to win the Royal Rumble and immediately call out Lashley.
Okay, so in that scenario, that would be your main event.
Yeah, for probably night 1, because they're probably going to do...
There's no night 1.
There's only one WrestleMania night?
No, this is Royal Rumble. There's one Royal Rumble.
Oh,
night.
I think Big E is going to win, and I think he's going to challenge Lashley
so
at WrestleMania.
So you're talking way down the line.
We're in WrestleMania season, dude. We're in WrestleMania season.
Okay. So say what? Who wins this match between Brock and Bobby Lashley again?
I'm taking Lashley.
Okay.
I mean, I already said it. I already wrote it down.
I just want you jump like 3 or 4 steps ahead. But
no, I'm
that's
not.
okay.
I'm talking about WrestleMania.
Exactly.
The winner of the Royal Rumble challenges for a belt at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was born before you, so let's not go there.
Oh, I know. So the second one that I'm going to take might throw you guys off a little bit. KO. Because I can see Vince having Seth Rollins win it off of Roman Reigns, and then KO challenges Rollins, and then we have a ready-made WrestleMania match. My third one, I don't care. Otis.
No, go Omos. God damn. I mean, if you're going to say something...
That's what I said, Otis.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, I'll go out after my heart just for fun. I'll take Montez Ford, but it's going to be Big E. Doesn't matter.
You really think this is
Johnny Knoxville?
You really think this is going to be Big E? Really and truly?
I do.
Okay.
I just put my money where my mouth was, bro.
Look.
I've taken a chop from a professional wrestler.
You did. 2. Watched it. It's on. If you have not seen it,
I recommend it. It's funny.
It is the BFR pin post. It will never leave as far as I'm concerned. That is the pin post with what moves forward. Look, I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Zach said Big E too. Like, you're not fucking with him.
Oh, trust me. I fuck with Zach a lot.
I know. You guys talked on the phone for a long time last night. Sounds very enjoyable. Very fun to have. Just a fun conversation to have.
You gotta have WWE prove it to me at this point.
Did you guys happen to see? Okay, so that was our predictions.
Done.
Did you guys happen to see NXT this week when Malcolm Bivens made fun of Walter's new name? Did you guys see that? Fuck it.
No.
I saw a little clip of it. And he's like, I can't remember what he said. He was like, never mind. See, I want to watch, but I don't want to watch for 2 hours and just watch that clip.
Also, Jacket Time, which I know Jason is not a fan of for some reason. They had a match against MSK to open up NXT, and it was about 12 minutes. And those MSK guys are crazy, just crazy.
I almost wish
what
I
a
would
fun
watch
match!
That.
What a fun match, Jimmy.
Yeah. Almost wish I'd have watched that.
I mean, they're doing shit just like it's no big deal. Just like it's no big deal. Anything else? Okay, so just for the record, Zach and I both have Big E to win. Jason has AJ.
You can shake your head all you want to on this.
I will.
Okay?
I will. It's not going to happen.
Look, since you're the betting guy, look at your betting odds, motherfucker.
Oh, someone's been looking at the betting odds.
No, they sent it to me, actually.
I have
so
Lita.
You're welcome on that.
I have Lita.
So you're going to talk about AJ Styles, but Lita all of a sudden is going to come out of the fucking woodwork and win the Royal Rumble. Eat a dick.
Jason's got Asuka.
Makes sense, huh? Becky and Charlotte. At least I can connect some dots, idiot.
Dude's calling me names. And Zach has Ronda Rousey.
I want to see Ronda Rousey come back.
All good picks except for the Asuka one.
because I made it and he didn't.
The rest of them were good. Hold on. The rest of them were good.
Yeah, whatever.
From Ringside.
All right. Did anybody happen to watch AJ Styles versus Austin Theory on Raw? Didn't think so. Hey.
Do I have to watch fucking WWE from
Hey, we
this
got
point
some
on?
birthdays this week. Sheamus is 44. Sonata is 34. Hardcore. Bob Holly. 59.
I'm not touching that.
Giant Gonzalez. This is shocking to me. 56. That means
There is no way.
That means he was like 23 when that shit happened.
No way.
Wait, no, older than that. I'm not doing the math.
You got a fucking computer, for Christ's sake, in front of you.
That's an iPhone, dude. It's not a computer. Becky Lynch is 35. Drake Maverick, a.k.a. Rockstar Spud, 39. Fit Finlay. What a stud. 64. Ronda Rousey is 35. Brian Cage.
That's where there's a lot of Ronda Rousey talk outside of, the Rumble, obviously.
Brian Cage is 38.
Rabbit fever.
Good match against Will Ospreay if you haven't seen it.
I'm a believer. Down for a fight.
You gotta shove that hipster shit in right at the end, huh? For Jason Cornelius Bell, for Two Beers Zach Bowman, for Tanner Mahal, for
Check.
Vice, for
Check.
my wife, for my kid who let me do this shit.
Double check.
Support your local restaurants.
Check.
Support your local weed dealers.
DM me,
I
dog.
don't know if you guys knew this, but Black Lives Matter.
Check.
I'll be at the Royal Rumble. Come find me. I'll be wearing a Pelicans hat and boo the heels.
Boo!